EES, which is pronounced ease, is an acronym for Engineering Equation Solver. Preferences refers to the many different user choices that together define the way that ease looks and feels to the user. And these are truly preferences that can be chosen by each user in order to make ease as comfortable and efficient as possible for them. Select Preferences from the Options menu in order to access the Preferences dialog, which is shown here. The Preferences dialog allows the user to specify a large number of characteristics of the ease program, and these are categorized according to the tabs at the bottom of the dialog. So for example, in the Options tab, you can specify how often the file is autosaved, whether units are automatically checked, whether or not to maintain a list of recently opened files, and a number of other options like this. Some of these options can also be set by directives, as discussed in Appendix C of Mastering Ease. So for example, the option to display a sum row in a parametric table can be enabled with the $SUMROW_ON directive. The option to automatically check units can be enabled with the $CheckUnitsAuto_ON directive, and there's many of these kinds of directives. When these options are selected using directives, the directive will override whatever is selected in the Preferences dialog. Each tab of the Preferences dialog contains choices of this nature that will be discussed throughout these tutorials. The Display Preferences tab is shown here. The fields in this window control some of the basic display options. One of the most useful options is the size of the font. The default size is 10, but the drop-down menu allows sizes to be selected from 8 to 24 as shown here. And you'll find that large font sizes are really helpful if you're going to project ease programs onto a screen. Also, you can dim the screen with gray tones using the slider control at the bottom of this dialog. The options in the Syntax tab are shown here. The tab stops option is particularly useful as you're going to want to line up your comments or maybe line up commands that are located within a duplicate loop or within a function. This option places tabs at the specified locations. These can also be specified with the $tabstops directive as described in Appendix C of Mastering Ease. All of the other options affect the appearance of the content of the equations window when the syntax highlighting control in the status bar at the bottom of the ease window is selected so that syntax highlighting is enabled. Syntax highlighting affects the display of keywords and both built-in and user-supplied functions, procedures, modules, and subprograms. The display options allow both the case and the style of function names in these keywords to be independently controlled. Syntax highlighting can really enhance the display and make the equations a lot easier to read. So for example, here's an example of some code, and you can see what happens when I toggle syntax highlighting on or off, and in this case syntax highlighting has been set up using the default options, which of course I can change. You should know that syntax highlighting can slightly increase the time required for ease to refresh the display. So if you have a very large ease program and the display is slow, you may want to turn off syntax highlighting. If you click the reset button here in the preferences window, all the preferences will be reset to their original or as shipped settings. Pressing OK will set the preferences that you've selected to be in effect, but only for the current session. If you select the store button right here, you're going to cause the preferences to be saved in an ease preferences file, which is a .prf file. So all of these selections will be saved in a .prf file. If you save the file as ees.prf and you put it in the ease working directory, which is the default selection that you get when you just select store, then these preferences are automatically loaded whenever ease is started. If you don't want that, you can alternatively save the .prf file in a different directory and then load it subsequently if you want to use those preferences using this load button. Or even more convenient would be to automatically load the preference file using the $include directive. So the $include directive is discussed more in section 14.5 of Mastering Ease, but basically it just provides a method to automatically load various types of files in an ease program when it's opened. So in this case we would automatically load a .prf file. So for example, here I'm going to select preferences from the options dialog, and then I'll select some display options in the display tab, so the font and the size, and then we'll select store, and I'm going to save the .prf file in a temporary directory, and then we'll place an appropriate $include directive at the top of the ease file that loads that .prf file. And now if I close and reopen this file, the selections that I made previously and stored in that .prf file are going to be automatically loaded and used right away in the ease file, so I don't have to go in there and actually load that manually. So this is one of a series of tutorials meant to describe the operation of the ease software. If you'd like to get more information about ease, obtain the software, or access more of these tutorials, please go to the website fchart.com. These tutorials are excerpted from the book Mastering Ease, which can also be obtained from the fchart website.